Well, 16 races, and it all comes down to this. The season finale for the Area Truck Series at Atlanta Motor Speedway. It's 120 laps to determine our champion after a whole season of action. And tonight, it's Jake Nichols, John Hall, Seth Knoll, and Patrick Moose all going for it. Jake Nichols, an average finish of 5th. John Hall's average finish of 8th. Seth Knoll with the 12th. And Patrick Moose gets in with 2 wins and an average finish of 16th. Could he be the upset tonight and steal a win as he did last week in Kansas to set himself up for the run into the championship position? Kyle Heyer joined by Connor Horn tonight. Connor, welcome aboard. This is it, the last race of the season at this 1.5 mile racetrack. Lots of slip and slide and multi-groove racing. What are we expecting tonight?
Expecting a lot of action, that's for sure, and maybe a little bit of drama. One thing we won't be expecting for sure, unless we get a ill-timed yellow, we won't have fuel saving for all 120 laps tonight. That was a big point of last night's race in the Cup Series. You won't be able to make it to halfway on 1 full tank of gas. If we get an ill-timed yellow, who knows what could happen, but we're going racing for 120 laps at this very worn-out quad oval. It should be pretty fun. I'm pretty excited to have the Championship 4 battle come down to this.
Yeah, last night it was pretty warm out there on the racetrack. Tonight it's already starting as hot as it got last night, 126 degrees Fahrenheit on the racetrack. Qualifying is starting here shortly. That was a big deal last night for James Scioli, who qualified in 17th place. It took him a long time to work to the front of the field, and when he had done that, he used up all of his tires and didn't really have anything once he got off strategy there because of the extra tire wear. Tonight, the tire wear is going to be a lot more extreme than it was last night. Same thing on Thursday as well. So I think the strategy component will be a bigger deal. What's our fuel economy situation looking like tonight?
I'd be surprised if I don't think you're going to make it to lap 60. I don't think that's going to be possible, and I think if you try to save to make it to lap 60, you're going to be giving up too much time. It's not like last night where you kind of only had to save like a lap per run or something like that. You're going to have to save a lot if you want to make it work, and I don't think it's going to work. So I expect 2 stops unless we get 1 yellow. Then things might get a little interesting, but probably the 55 laps, I would think, is the maximum you could make it on fuel, but we'll just see who wants to try to stretch it. There's going to be a lot of gambling tonight, I would think.
Well, let's head down to the racetrack with qualifying underway already, and one of our Championship 4 competitors, Seth Knoll, already beginning his flying lap, sails off into turn 1 way up on the outside wall. Is this the line that you'd expect to see here in qualifying?
I wouldn't be surprised to see it be the preferred line. I saw Miller up there. Patrick Moose is on a lap. He's up there as well. So the grip on the bottom of 1 and 2 is not really there. You have a lot more grip on the high side of 3 and 4 of how iRacing has kind of manipulated this track. So that'll be the preferred line on the long run, I would think. It's going to be hard to make passes. It's going to feel pretty similar to what we saw yesterday as well. Everyone has the pretty similar feel in the truck to what they had in the Cup car. Seth Knoll goes 31.633. Patrick Moose was about a 10th slower than that. Matthew Backby was a 10th faster than Seth Knoll. He actually has provisional pole at the moment.
So Moose and Knoll, the 3 of the playoff competitors, have gone to the board. John Hall goes in the middle of those 2. Jake Nichols is the only one remaining that has not yet set a time, but there are plenty of other trucks on the racetrack making some qualifying efforts. Now Vincent Cortez is on a flying lap in that number 23 Hendry County Motorsports truck. There he is, out of turn 4.
Kind of a odd season for him. Not many starts and not many good finishes due to a decent amount of crashes. He'll go second on the board, though. He actually darn near tied Seth Knoll's time. He gets the edge for the first row position for the time being, as our final Championship 4 competitor, Nichols, is on track as his teammate Gary Waterworth slams the fence out of turn 4. So Waterworth will start at the way back of the field. Where will Jake Nichols start?
Here's the 609 Motorsports truck, the green and yellow. Off into turn 3. We'll see what Jake's got. He's on his flying lap already. Goes to the bottom in 3 and 4. It's bumpy down there. Didn't get it all the way down to the white line. It's going to wash up the hill on him. Back on the throttle. Lots of on-throttle time here on fresh tires. And what will Jake Nichols have for the field? It's 172 miles an hour average. 591 rather. Goes to second, top of the playoff 4.
So you got our Championship 4 pretty evenly spread out there. Unless someone slots in between them, they'll all be in the same lane. Right now it's the outside lane. They'll be in a row, but we'll see if anyone can beat them. Tyler Hallman goes 11th. Brad Slaughter Jr. is on his lap. Justin Sogak just went 11th. David Weishart, he just went to P5. So a lot of drivers getting their times down at the very end of this run, and Brad Slaughter Jr. is going to try to get a time down in the last minute or so as well. We've only been here once in the Truck Series at this version of Atlanta. It was him who went to victory lane. He led 75 of 120 laps. He could be a spoiler tonight.
And Brad Slaughter Jr. comes out of turn 4. Devin Johnson goes 16th. Slaughter does a 31.609. That's good enough for third. It's a pretty solid lap there by the 81. Ryan Swan goes 16th place. Jonathan Evans in the number 9. See what he's got.
Super Speedway winner. I'm sure he wished we were going to the repave of Atlanta, but not the case. He'll go to the apron like it is the repave, but 31.878. Only good enough for 16th position. Don't believe he's happy with that. Bryce Senesac is starting his lap. Chris Seidenfaden is coming to complete his lap. The 45 went 18th on the board as Eric Wineland's in 3 and 4. Another driver who goes to the bottom, but so many bumps down there, not a lot of grip down there. It's hard to get the truck nose pointed on the white line, but if you do, it'll hook up.
And across the stripe for Eric Wineland, he goes 31.925. That'll be 19th place for him. I think he would have liked maybe a little more speed than that. Start back in row number 10 as it stands. Bryce Senesac's qualifying effort was fruitless. Will go 22nd. AC Lakatos out of turn 4 is beginning his run, but he will not have time to complete it. Balliet, Schaefer, and Waterworth also will not complete their runs for one reason or another. That leaves Nichols, Knoll, Hall, and Moose all in the top 10, but Nichols as the top seed of the Championship 4 before we get headed into this race tonight. We've got a couple reminders for you. Of course, as always, make sure that you're subscribed to the Area iRacing Twitch channel. That's twitch.tv/Area iRacing. As a subscriber, you get those Area iRacing emotes to use in the chat. And you can earn those double channel points that you can use to redeem for free merchandise for just $5 a month. Join today, twitch.tv/Area iRacing. Remember, this is the last Area Truck Series race on SimTV, so next season, Season 7, you'll have to go to Twitch to catch the rest of the action, or YouTube on the next vendor. And we'll let you know when we do as far as where this Season 7 will kick off in 2025. Been a fun ride here. This is the last Tuesday night stream on SimTV for some time until Full Send Sims returns. Currently the only product that will be here. Of course, we're expecting the Indy Elite Series to return on December 8th. It'll be their first return, but just Sundays and Tuesdays for the time being on SimTV. Thursday night's stream will be the last for at least a couple of weeks. Well, warm up now for the season finale for the Area Truck Series, and final thoughts before we get going racing on expectations for tonight. How different is it going to look than last night?
I don't know if the racing is going to look too different. I think it'll just be maybe just as frantic on the short run as it was last night, but maybe even more real in a way, because a lot of it was fuel saving last night. Tonight we shouldn't really see any of that. I think there's going to be more of a risk of yellows because of that, because you're not going to see that many drivers being very conservative, and I'm expecting a pretty close championship battle. Last night Matheson kind of pulled away with it. It was definitely the fastest. No one really had anything for him. Tonight I expect it to be a little closer. Nichols has the jump. He has a row advantage over his teammate in 5th, and then John Hall and Patrick Moose. I think Hall's definitely further down the order than I expected him to be, but Patrick Moose, this is kind of an interesting situation he's in. He's won his way into the round of 8. He won his way into the round of 4 tonight. He could really pull off the Joey Logano type season if he can get a win here tonight, or at least finish ahead of the other 3 tonight. But it's interesting how really all 4 drivers kind of have different stories this season. The most similar stories being Nichols and Hall. Since Sebastian Marin stopped racing, those 2 have kind of been the dominant forces. Seth Knowles, he's been hanging, he's been fast, just not race-winning speed. And Patrick Moose, he has not been maybe consistent this season, but he's won when it's mattered the most.
Well, when your back is against the wall, I mean, if you can perform at that moment, this is what this format's all about for Patrick Moose. Second here in warm-up, looking pretty solid, I'd say. And we saw that speed in Kansas as well when he started up on the front row, so he won't be that far forward this time. We'll see what the strategy can play. The other thing is, don't get behind on strategy. I would like to copy the strategy of everybody around me in the Championship 4, assuming I'm with them. The second that they get ahead, then you have to start looking at, all right, can I play an alternate strategy? But you can't do what Scioli did last night and wait too late to pivot. If you're down the order, you got to do something different. You're not going to beat them on pace, but you can't wait till lap 100 to make that pivot.
No, you definitely can't wait that long. You got to commit at least one Hail Mary strategy, or just go with what everyone else is doing. I kind of was confused as when he pit, when he was rocketing by me on the final run of my race after he had already pit. So I thought he sped, to be honest, or something like that. But yeah, you can't like get between strategies. That's kind of what he did last night. He was committed to the one stop, realized it wasn't working, and then 50 to go, 40 to go, he ended up pitting, doing the two stop, just hoping for a stroke of luck, which is not really what you want to do. So you got to commit one way or another. You can't put yourself in no man's land like he did last night, and we'll see if these drivers are smart enough to realize that.
Before we get rolling here with our starting grid, we'd like to remind you that the starting grid is brought to you by Central Mobile Homes. If you're looking for a small or large home, a new shed, or a Triple Crown trailer, look no further than Central Mobile Homes. They've been proudly serving Florida customers for 28 years with a plethora of small and large home floor plans, shed designs, and Triple Crown trailers. Available in LaBelle, Okeechobee, Clewiston, and Sebring. Head to CentralMobileHomesInc.com to get started today. And speaking of the Central Mobile Homes starting grid, let's go through it. On the front row, it's Matthew Batby just looking for a win. He's not a playoff competitor. Jake Nichols is the top seed of the Championship 4. He starts in second.
And you'll have at least one row over his championship competitors, because the only winner at this version of Atlanta, Brad Slaughter Jr., will start third alongside Vincent Cortez, who's ran part-time this season. He starts fourth tonight.
Second of the Championship 4, it's Seth Knoll in the number 1. He starts in 5th place. David Weishart starts 6th in the number 33.
7th position, Jeremy Miller, a good qualifying effort for him in the number 30. He'll be alongside another title threat, John Hall. A little further back than maybe we anticipated. He's back in 8th position.
And in 9th place, it's Travis Beckner in the number 28. The Henry County Motorsports truck. We'll keep an eye on him tonight. Patrick Moose rolls off 10th in the number 38. Some work to do there for that hopeful in the Championship 4.
Danny Ware starts 11th. He was eliminated in the round of 12. Ricky Springer did not make the playoffs, but he's had speed all season. He had speed last night on the short run, too. He'll start 12th.
And in 13th place, it's Justin Anasogak in the number 88. Tyler Hallman rolls off 14th in the number 62.
Beckner going to the back with an EOL penalty. We'll see if he can get through the field. Garrett Grant, I don't believe has one. He'll start 15th position tonight alongside Jonathan Evans, a two-time winner this season, starting at 16th.
17th place, Ryan Swan in the number 20. Chris Seidenfeiden rolls off 18th in the 45.
Rounding out the top 20, Eric Weiland, who was very good at Kansas last week, and he'll have another mile and a half to prove his skills. He'll be alongside Ben Pierce at the 65.
And Devin Johnson starts 21st in the number 90. Bryce Senesac in the 09. The inverse number starts 22nd.
Not Joshua Balliet. Balliet is on this row, though. He'll start 24th, eliminated in the last round. He'll be alongside Lucas Strayer, who starts inside of him at 23rd.
And Reese Schaefer starts 25th place in the 07. Recently eliminated from the playoffs and has some work to do tonight to get a decent result. Casey Lakatos would have started 26th, but missed the grid, so he will not start in row number 13. Gary Waterworth rounds out the field in your Central Mobile Homes starting lineup. So that is your running order, 27 trucks deep. This race will take us about an hour and 3 minutes from flag to flag if we go caution-free like we did last night in the Cup Series race. What's the likelihood of that?
I'd say it's a little lower, but we'll just have to wait and see.
Here we go. Time to go racing. One last time this season. Green flag, and we're underway from Atlanta in the Area Truck Series Season 6 finale. Trying to hold off Jake Nichols. Nichols would love to get the clean air early. 3 wide out of turn 4. Patrick Moose in the middle, making up 3 spots on the opening lap, and he wants more.
He wants more. He's going to get at least a few more. By the way, I said Balliet got eliminated. That was not the case. I was thinking of Reese Schaefer, but either way, not the point. The point is at the front of the field. I think, obviously, the bonus points aren't important for leading a lap for the Championship 4, but I think that clean air is going to be really important. Jake Nichols fought hard to get it from Batby. John Hall and Seth Knoll are trying to fight to get closer to those two as well, as those two are side by side for third.
Yeah, close quarters racing here, and they've already, look at Patrick Moose up to 5th place. He is in a big charge here early, using up some tire. Make up some ground. You don't want to spend a whole lot of time fighting people you don't need to fight. The only drivers that matter for the championship are those up in blue on the ticker. They're battling side by side for first and for third.
And Knoll's not giving John Hall anything. Meanwhile, Batby just ran the high side. Nichols, I don't think, is wanting to fight him. He's just going to give that spot to him and maybe just settle in behind him. But those two in behind are fighting hard to be the one at least second behind Jake Nichols at this point. I'd say those three, because Patrick Moose has a run on both of them, and Ricky Springer is following through.
Championship 4, second, third, fourth, and fifth at the moment. I think, just like last night, Just like it always seems to happen here, that if you want to win the championship, you have to win this race. Look at Moose up on the outside, building momentum here early.
Oh, man, big move.
And slings to the bottom, takes the elevator to the bottom floor, and drives in hard on the inside.
And I don't think Noel really wanted to be that high up the track, but he'll use it to his advantage. That higher line, really the top seam. If you get your right sides on that top seam in 3 and 4, that line can work. You can't really go much higher than that, but he made it work. And Ricky Springer's going to take advantage, and John Hall is not even going to bother fighting any harder than he was.
No, you just don't want to get buried too deep in traffic this early in the race. I mean, you don't need to fight everything tooth and nail and get yourself into trouble, but you also don't want to give up too many spots and get buried in traffic. It's hard to make up ground late in the run.
Yeah, just the passes get harder and harder because if someone wears their stuff off, they'll run the high side to defend, and if you do not have that big of a tire advantage, you're not going to be able to make that pass work. So keeping the track position now is really, really important, and Seth Noel knows that. He threw a big block on Ricky Springer in the dog leg, and Springer is still going to fight hard to get by, trying to get the right rear quarter panel in the center of the corner so he can get that run on exit, and I think he's got it.
Alongside the number 1 is Seth Noel, quickly becoming a mosquito in the ear of those championship competitors, including Jake Nichols. Now, what's the likelihood he's burning up his tires early in this run, Connor? We saw saving matter a lot last night, even with the next-gen car, which has historically been pretty easy on tires relative to the trucks.
Oh, I'd say the probability of him wearing his tires out, I'd say it's pretty darn high. He kind of did that last night. He was very solid short run, but pushed hard and fell back as the run went on. This is pretty much going to be the same thing. It's definitely what it looks like to me. Pushing the high side, you want to save the tires, you got to be on the bottom. Everyone knows that on iRacing, and he is ripping the top, trying to get track position for the short run. But if we do get to that first pit stop of the race under green, he is going to be struggling at the end of the run, as he's going to look for the lead here into turn number 1, I would think, because now Nichols is 3rd, Noel's 4th, Moose 5th, and Hall 6th. It did not take that long for him to get lined up, did it?
Feels like pulling the trigger maybe a little early on maximizing the pace. Up to the outside, though, he wants the lead.
I don't think Pappy's going to fight this too hard. Just get in line, let him use up his stuff, and hope you can get him later in the run.
Battling going on deeper in the field here. There's that 7 of Joshua Balliet that you were talking about at the drop of the show. 24th to 21st. It's been pretty slow going, slow progress back here. Seen a lot of big movers so far necessarily. Beckner's gone backwards from 9th to 12th.
He did have that EOL, so in reality, he actually is a big mover. Back up almost to where he started is pretty impressive, as he's still trying to get through the field. John Hall still trying to get through Seth Noel. He almost got the right recorder panel, but he ran just high enough where he got a run off the corner. I don't predict to see any slide jobs this early, but I think he knows he's at least a touch faster at this point in the run and wants by, but Noel's been kind of holding him up a little bit.
Jeremy Miller in the number 30. He is up to 6th spot, trying to take a position away from championship competitor Patrick Moose. Moose, remember that initial charge he had? You have to wonder, I mean, that was really early in the run, but did he burn up anything in that initial kind of rocket launch, dropping the boosters after that first stage?
Definitely possible. The tire wear kind of comes in waves. I saw a lot of times last night as Hall's going to get a big run on Noel to go for this 4th position again. There's a lot of times when I saw so many drivers doing this. I was not the one to do it, but they would push for 5 laps and then kind of save for 5 laps. Not fuel, but tires. They would push for a little bit and then save them. And then you kind of keep doing that kind of rubber band strategy. I saw the 73 was doing it last night, Nichols. I think Philip Groner was doing it last night as well. And there was something to it where they would not lose much time saving, but once they wanted to go and pick up the pace for another 5 laps, they would be way faster. So the feel in the truck is similar to what the Cup cars are, so maybe you see that type of tire saving happen again, but not seeing that quite yet. Just seeing a lot of hard racing for 4th, as Jeremy Miller is going to kind of mess up this battle with Hall and Noel.
Pappy starting to close back in on Springer here. It was about a 10th quicker last time around. You would expect Ricky to probably have used up his stuff. Now, again, how much you use up depends on what kind of strategy you're going to play here, right? I mean, we're not really expecting people to try to do that one-stop strategy like we saw necessarily, right? I mean, otherwise we would have already heard drivers saving fuel.
No, like last night. I mean, Matheson was kind of saving from the beginning of the very first run, and I did it like with 20 laps before halfway. I don't see that happening, though. We're going to be, what, 47 laps away from halfway. These drivers are nowhere close to making it on fuel by my calculations. So you would definitely be aiming probably around lap 40 to get your first pit stop, somewhere around then, as Bappy gets to lead back from Ricky Springer just like that, as he's actually going to give Springer the outside. But it's definitely alarming. Springer, you know, he pushes hard short run, that's how it goes, but the fact that he's already kind of fading with this long to go before even the first of a two-stop strategy is alarming big time.
Bappy takes the lead away again. Jake Nichols still the top running driver in the championship four. There's John Hall up to the outside. David Weishart, we haven't talked a lot about tonight. Been lingering in the bottom half of the top 10.
Springer's in the wall. He got way sideways off of 2. There goes all of that.
Yeah, just dropped right out of it. I think he knows he's got trouble or didn't want to hold up the field. So there goes all that work out the window.
Yeah, I mean, just had such a big wiggle. The right rear was probably already crying at that point and got one little wiggle when running the high side. When you get loose running the top of the racetrack, especially after 2, you're not going to save that. You're going in a wall every time. I don't think he did damage, but the tires are in horrible shape now, and he's already back to 10th and battling with Cortez for that spot.
Moose and Hall side by side. Right behind Jeremy Miller, who's up a couple more spots since the last time we checked in with him in that yellow and green 609 truck.
John Hall was testing the waters of that high side. He got a very good run off of turn number 2. He actually chopped the nose of Patrick Moose there a little bit, but he tried running the wall at 3 and 4, and it's so bumpy up there. That really doesn't work in the center of the corner. But he did get a good run, but nowhere to go with it with Miller clogging the top lane. That's what you're going to see all night on the long run. It's going to be so hard to pass that driver if he's taking up that outside lane. Meanwhile, the driver in front of that guy running the outside lane, Seth Knoll, he's able to run the bottom and be pretty comfortable knowing he's faster than Miller, so he can keep some extra tire on it because of that.
Logging laps here early in the going in the Season 6 finale for the Area Truck Series. Travis Beckner, you mentioned that EOL. Oh, he's in the fence.
Oh. Let's not mention him again, I guess.
I suppose not.
I did that last night too. I think he's still faster, as Jonathan Evans kind of gives him the top side. But as long as if that's your worst hit, you're going to be fine. I think he'll be fine, and he is going to have to work hard to get around Ricky Springer, who is struggling off the corner right now.
Patrick Moose right down to the white line there on the bottom. Multi-groove running here. That top side is pretty powerful, but if you have a truck that can roll the bottom and carry good speed down there, you can use that offensively, especially if drivers are struggling on corner exit on the outside when they get up into the fence.
Talk about a struggle. It's a struggle for 17th. Ben Pierce has it, and I think there's about 8 more trucks that want it. Look at this.
This is a mess back here.
Hallman, Waterworth, Senesac, Wineland's in the middle, Schaefer, everyone at 17th on back is here. And I think Tyler Hallman's holding them up, and he's going to get out of the way, and Wineland's going to split the middle to get by him. This is New Atlanta. I didn't know.
Tevin Johnson through the middle as well, 3 wide. And a Sogak watching all of it. The 62's in the fence.
Man. Yeah, he's having the same issue as Springer. I think he's really blown the tires off of it, and he's just going to struggle until he gets to his pit window.
This is really the most dramatic area on the racetrack at the moment. 20 laps down, 100 laps to go. We see that Ryan Swan loose on the quad oval.
You might end up seeing that. I mean, I didn't really have that issue last night, but this track is so worn out that at any moment, if you are just not steering correctly in the tri-oval through the dog legs, you could end up losing it. You got to be 100% focused at all times. This is not one of those tracks like, I don't know, Gateway, for example, where you can take a break on the straightaways. You don't have that luxury here. You're always working the wheel.
28, Travis Beckner closing up to Ricky Springer. Remember, he led a few laps early, then got into the fence and dropped right out of the top 10. And Travis will go by on the inside on his way to the top 10. That's 11th that he just picked up.
He's trying to get it, but Springer is not a driver who lets you by. Very aggressive, loves racing other drivers, and Beckner can be the same way, but I think Beckner can be more courteous at times, and these are just two juggernauts meeting in the middle, just battling each other, gonna be battling each other hard, as Beckner, because of that wiggle, is gonna get a run on Springer. We'll see if we see our first slide job of the night. Beckner trying to clear the 51. Not quite. He's gonna run the bottom and give the 51 the lane for the time being. I think he knows it's a matter of time before Springer messes up a little bit, but the problem is you don't want to be part of his mess up and get involved in a crash with him because of it.
51 right up on the outside lane. The 5, Garrett Grant trying to follow him through and carry that speed out of the corner. And just like that, Beckner was the hunter, but kind of becomes the hunted now with Evans closing up as well.
Yeah, but Springer's still struggling on the straightaways, and it does not help that Garrett Grant's going to be on his rear bumper like that out of the corner. He gets the air off the spoiler, gets you way sideways, and you really start to slide more than you already were. So I think Springer's happy. Grant went to the middle. They're now 3 wide.
Whoa.
Beckner sideways. Grant makes contact. They both made contact. Now Evans is going to shove the 5 by. I don't know how that wasn't a crash, but like you said, Beckner becomes the one on the back foot after all this, and it's just like a lot of tracks on iRacing these days. If you don't make that pass on the inside, if they line up on the outside, you're going backwards, and that's what's happening here.
Yeah, they spooked each other there for sure. All the way up in 4th place, John Hall working over Jeremy Miller here. Miller up on the high side, but just a hair slower than Hall last time around.
It is proving to be a difficult pass right now for that 4th position. Nichols and Knoll have that advantage over the 0-3 right now, and Patrick Moose has settled back into 8th position, 2 spots up from where he started as 89 working the wheel.
Yeah, he was really sliding up to the edge of that wall out of turn 4, using all the racetrack. Tells you where the tires are right now. We're down 2 full seconds from where we were at the start of this race.
And it's going to get a little worse at this point, as Hall got the run on Miller off of turn number 4, just slid up in front of him. Wasn't really that big of a slide job. He was just fast enough, as these drivers are still going 3 wide for this position. Beckner's backed off this battle and letting Springer, Grant, and Evans go at it.
His background watching this play out. I don't know how comfortable it is to watch this from where he is.
Oh, man. Springer doesn't even have it under control in the tri-oval now. He's wiggling every time I see him working the wheel coming to the line.
Oh boy, big wiggle out of 2 for the 51. I mean, it wasn't back and forth kind of wiggle. That was where it kind of just steps out and you hold it in that slide. And Beckner pops to the inside into 3.
If I'm Beckner or Balliet, I need to get by the 51 because I'm going to get wrecked. As I say, that Ben Pierce hit the wall but kept it straight. But I feel like if you are around Ricky at this point with how sideways he is, even at this point of the track, you're going to be in trouble if you stay around him at the wrong time. So Beckner and Balliet, they got to get by soon because you can see the gap they get. The gap Garrett Grant, Jonathan Evans are getting by already getting by. They were 0.4 of a second, almost half of a second faster than the 51, and that's how much time Beckner and Balliet are losing.
7, creep through the middle here. Thinks about it at least. That door is going to close on corner exit. He'll watch it close as Beckner slides up the hill.
Meanwhile, for the lead, Jake Nichols has chased down Matthew Batby, and he is all over the 89's bumper through the corner, getting the 89 loosened up a little bit. But at the same time, Seth Knoll is a little faster than both of these drivers. And this is one of the tracks, what I noticed last night, this is one of the tracks where having clean air on the nose means a lot. It means a lot more than what I think it did at Kansas last week, for example. Just finding the lane that they're not running, getting clean air on the nose, and getting a clean run through the corner means a lot here.
Nichols to the bottom. He had him cleared for a moment in the center of the corner, but it's all about the exit and where you land. And Batby will carry some pretty solid speed. Look at the difference in momentum. That's 4.5 miles an hour off into 3, and Batby will retake the lead, coming to the 1/4 mark of this race next time by.
You see Nichols kind of running his line, but getting at least half of the nose down in clean air just to get a better run off than the 89, and it worked. And if he gets close enough to his bumper, he can get him even more loosened up and maybe take advantage of that in the next set of corners. He's just going to lean on his rear bumper entering the corner there. And he's forcing Bappy to kind of throttle up early just to get away from that, because Bappy doesn't want him on his bumper, or else he's probably going to put himself in the wall with how close the margins are.
Wide out of turn 2. That's Anna Sogak. That was on the bottom of Springer and Beckner. Those two have just been all over each other as of late. 51 and 28.
Beckner can't get by. That's as close to the wall as you can get without hitting it. He can't get by Springer, neither can Balliet. Everyone else keeps going by. Some others keep going by. Evans made the pass. Just Anna Sogak just made the pass for 13th. Everyone else kind of stuck him behind. I wonder if Beckner gets aggressive here this time? Not really. He's clear. How aggressive does he get now, though? I think he wants clear up, and he's not going to be able to do it.
He's so close. He's enjoying the battle, but it's costing him both time. I think both of these drivers are Type A's. They're not going to back it down.
And for example, Ricky Springer's time last time by was a 34.3. That's over half a second slower than the race leader, Matthew Bappy. They're going to come together.
Contact into one. Beckner chases it down the hill. Springer goes up the racetrack, and Joshua Balliet going where not a wise man would go right now, through the center of these two sparring partners.
I'm sure Balliet's hoping to get by, because I don't think he wants to be near a Beckner-Springer battle. But it's just this shows with how cooked the 51's tires are as Beckner taps the wall. Pierce did as well. It's how hard it is to get the bottom to roll and make that pass. Balliet finally gets it done, but Springer's going to get aggressive, try to get the right rear back, and he did, but I'm not sure if he'll be able to stay to be outside.
On the outside, 7 clears the 51, but Springer's going to take this momentum and do nothing with it. He'll sit on it into 3. All the while, Bappy has kept the lead over Jake Nichols. This has been a very strong run for the 89 tonight. He's led 26 now of the 35 laps we've completed.
Also had a pit stop there. Lap 34, David Weishart came down to pit lane. That's a little early for the 2-stop, but it's a bit of an undercut for this type of strategy, but it can work, and Weishart's one to always go off strategy. Devin Johnson, Ryan Swan, I believe, did the same thing. Their laps down, they might have had penalties. But Weishart's first to the front runner to do so.
Yeah, Devin spent 55 seconds on pit lane. Ryan Swan a minute 24, so I think there was more to it than just penalties. Might have been some damage as well.
There's damage on Eric Wineland. I think Wineland had a mini crash out of turn number 2 and has decent right front damage.
Yeah, he got into the wall there. He's about 5 seconds off. Brad Slaughter Jr. hits pit lane.
And then Slaughter always kind of him and Weishart, always doing strategies together. As these top 3 are pretty close. Noel has chased down Nichols and Bappy. And now, at this point, John Hall is seemingly chasing down the top 3, but he has a little bit of a bigger gap to make up, as all 3 of these drivers are closing in on Casey Lakatos, who started from the pits, getting ready to lap him, and that could change this battle a little bit.
Yeah, if I'm Patrick Moose, this is when I start to look at my situation and say, if I can't close this gap, I need to do something different. I don't love being the only driver not in this fight right now, as Seth Knoll now joins the club.
And all 3 running different lanes at this point. It just, once again, shows how important getting that cleaner on the nose is. That's what they're trying to do at this point.
Closing in the 1/3 mark of this race. There's John Hall making pretty good progress here, just basically matching the leaders, but running from everyone behind him.
John Hall's in a decent situation. Patrick Moose he's not dead in the water, 2 seconds back of Hall, but they're definitely in a situation where maybe not this stop, but you might have to start thinking about trying to short pit a little bit just to get in front of him, maybe try to get some track position and use that to your advantage and hold them up, as Seth Knoll's going to be the first out of the championship 4 to hit pit lane.
I like this call. It's undercutting, but not by a lot. Mathematically, the best way to play this is to pit at the end of lap 40 and the end of lap 80. So you're basically pitting 2 laps early. Don't hate it. I don't think it's going to cost him a ton in the long run with how much and how quickly the tires kind of even out. They get to that like low 33 second bracket and they just kind of flatten out. So if you get last, 25, 30 laps where you're running and not continue to drop off after that, I think this is just a fine strategy.
He's not going to be, no one's going to respond to him. At least Bappy and Nichols are not. Looks like Patrick Moose will not. So definitely these drivers not really opting to go for that little short pit. They want fresher tires on these runs. So we'll see how big of a lead the one can end up getting with this, because Bappy and Nichols are going to still battle it out, and they're still running 34 flats at this point, right next to the fence for Bappy even still. It's about 2.3 seconds of fall off at this point for Bappy and pretty much everyone else.
So the math says that this time through would be the best time to come in. And if you're counting this race going green, I don't see any reason why you wouldn't come down mathematically at the equidistant point. But few drivers do. Danny Ware, Ricky Springer, Ben Pierce, they all do.
Waterworth, Strayer, Senesac, Hallman. This is also a very tough pit lane to get to at speed. Saw a decent amount of penalties last night. We had already seen maybe 2 tonight. But it seems like everyone that time came down and got the speed.
So does Patrick Moose have to now commit to the other end of the spectrum and try to overcut?
Well, they're staying out, not really. I still think you can undercut, and that's what he'll do. If they kept staying out, if they pit there, I would say yeah, but those three are content with staying out longer, so I'm fine with this type of undercut.
He should now, with the 1-lap undercut, be pretty much co-requisite with them. If they stay out another lap, Moose will come out ahead of Nichols and Hall, but obviously the one will also be ahead. So a couple different things to consider here.
Bappy's on the bottom. That tells me he's probably pitting, and yes, he is.
Nichols will stay out. He's going to try to get ahead of everyone on the overcut strategy. I don't know. These laps are taking long enough. I don't think that this won't work. You just got to be careful not to go too far with it, because obviously it's tricky to pass deep into a run.
A lot of drivers came down that time. John Hall did as well. Miller, Cortez, all those drivers are down, and really Jake Nichols, Jonathan Evans might be mainly the last two to come down. I don't see really anyone else that has yet to pit except maybe Case Lakatos, who started from the pit, so he's on the back foot. I would think Nichols would respond. He's on the bottom, so yes, he will.
Yep.
I don't really like that, just responding. I think at that point you go longer, but see how it works out in relation to Bappy.
So Seth Knoll is going to cycle out right behind David Weishart. The 33 is going to take the lead for a short time. But again, he has got 4-lap older tires than everybody else, save for Brad Slaughter Jr. here.
So just waiting on Jonathan Evans, who leads his first laps of the race. Him and Lakatos are the last ones to come down the pit lane. Weishart, he has a lead, but not by that much, and his tires are 3 laps older than the ones, and they'll be about 6-7 laps older than Moose's and John Hall's and everyone else.
So Moose came out behind Hall and Nichols. That's not really ideal. Thought he would try to get ahead, and now he's got a lap older tires, and he doesn't have the track positions. This is when, if you're the 38, I mean, how do you approach the next stop differently?
Very aggressively. I mean, if he's not able to stay with the championship drivers around him, he's going to have to do something really crazy, like undercutting by a double-digit amount of laps, or just running the fuel dry this run and hoping to catch a yellow. I think if he does not have the pace, he's got to do one or the other. Just throw that Hail Mary out as Knoll gets by Slaughter, and he will try to chase down Weishart soon.
Last time by, maybe by virtue of the pass on Slaughter, Seth ran a slower lap than David Weishart, but they still have several seconds of advantage over John Hall and Patrick Moose. And then Jake Nichols way at the back with a much more extreme overcut strategy, fresh out of the pits, and running full second, only about a half a second quicker than David Weishart. So again, the tires fall off really quickly. Maybe that's why I don't want to do the overcut, is because they don't stay good enough long enough to make up the positions the 73 makes. I wonder if that was a mistake.
We'll only have one way to find out. We'll see what it is this run. But I mean, I do like the undercut in a certain sense, but with how hard the tires wear as Lakatos comes to pit lane from 8th, how hard they wear, I would think the overcut would still be something you would kind of want to be doing, just to have the fresher tires, to be on the attack instead of being on the defensive. We'll see if it shakes out any differently if we get a second round of green flag pit stops, but I want to be on the attack. If I'm fighting for a championship, I'm fighting for a win, you want to be on the offense. You don't want to have to defend and hold people up. I hate doing that personally. I want to be on the attack.
Jonathan Evans hits pit lane, 48 laps into his run. 12 laps shy of halfway. Brad Slaughter Jr. tucked in behind Seth Knoll. 3-lap older tires. He hasn't really been left in the dust. That's why I wonder about the massive overcut that Jake Nichols is playing. Whether or not that will play out the way that he hopes.
Just looking at Knoll's time right now. He ran a 32.7 last time by. He's not even gaining that fast on wide start with 3-lap pressure tires. He ran a 32.781. Let's see, this time by it's a 32.866. John Hall got in front of Jake Nichols and Patrick Moose, obviously. He ran a 32.357 the previous time by, so that's about half a second right there. Matthew Bappy was about 0.7 of a second faster than Seth Knoll last time by.
Just clicking away laps, we have not had a yellow flag yet. 48 green flag laps. The fastest truck early in the race was the 51 of Ricky Springer. He maintains 11th at the moment. And checking in on our weather, it's cooled off slightly. Last night it got a little warmer as the day went on. 122 degrees Fahrenheit, 75, nice warm air temperature.
That might change the track a little bit. It might make that high side maybe not as dominant if the bottom line can get hooked up with cooler temps, but I don't know if it's going to cool down to that extent. 122, maybe mid 110s, it might be the extent of how cool we get later in this race. I'm trying to look at battles throughout the field, as this is pretty much the running order with short pitters and overcut drivers. Closest battle on track is, I think, 15th, Balliet, Cortez, and Beckner right now, as Knoll still tries to chase down Weissart, but this is at least one of the hotter battles. Two teammates going at it.
Couple of trucks. Enough lanes to go around here that you can typically sort these out without too much drama. But now what do you do? Packed in pretty tight. 28 goes right, 23 goes left. They're going to split Ben Pierce and chase Balliet into turn 3.
I think Ben Pierce did a little bit of a short pit as well. Don't think he wants any part of that battle. He'll just let all them by. Beckner's going to get by Cortez in the process as Pierce tapped the wall a little bit. They'll both try to chase down Gary Waterworth for 13th, who also pit a little earlier. Springer just hit the wall again in 1 and 2, but just a scrape.
David Weishart still leads. Honestly, this strategy's worked out fairly deep in this run, almost halfway to the next pit stop.
See how it looks in 2 or 3 laps, because Matthew Appy might take the lead away at that point. He pit about 7 laps later than the 33. He just got Slaughter for 3rd. And he'll get Knoll for 2nd, probably at a 4 or on the front stretch.
Appy looks like the best truck tonight, far and away. And for one reason or another, he didn't end up in the championship 4, but he still had a pretty successful season thus far.
Caution. First caution of the night. It's Tyler Hallman down the back.
62 truck goes around, doesn't hit anything, it looks like. This is going to kind of change the game for drivers like David Weishart. He just gets loose and tags the 90.
And that was not for position. The 90 was a lap down. Hallman was 22nd lead lap, but yeah, Hallman just got sideways, and Devin Johnson is in bystander. And that definitely changes things. Our first caution of the week. Eric Weigel did a great job getting by that, but that might be a break for Seth Knoll. He gets the advantage here over his championship 4 competitors. Obviously, he gets ahead of Bappy, which is important. Obviously, an advantage for Weishart as well, but that really flips things for sure. It really changes the complexion of the end of the race.
And I don't know, maybe this feels like a bad thing for Jake Nichols because the strategy didn't play out, but I was skeptical about that working that well because the tires start to even out after 20 or 25 laps. So maybe this is good to give him a reset and get him back into the racecraft play, which is typically where this 73 does better.
Yeah, he was not running times exceptionally faster than John Hall and Patrick Moose, so I'm not going to necessarily agree with you on it, but it's really not the worst thing in the world for him to just get a reset and get back close to all of these drivers, but it is a heck of a break for the top two and Brad Slaughter for sure. They definitely gain track position out of this.
So we can't make it to the end from here. So this will be our second to last pit stop. Everyone's going to come obviously down to pit lane. There's no reason why you want to do anything. Let's do this. Nobody try two tires because it will cause another crash. I'm saying that now.
No, not right now. Definitely not going to work at a track like this. I'd be shocked
if anybody takes two tires and wrecks the field, they owe me $100.
Well, I don't think they're going to take you up on that, but you could try.
I didn't ask them if they were. They will.
This is not a question.
It's not a question. I wasn't asking permission. I just have seen it so many times.
At least Case Lakatos finally gets his reset. He obviously started from the pits. He finally gets the lucky dog he was looking for. Noel stays second. Bappy gets third. There's really no change in that order.
Evans took two, but didn't gain any track position. Not enough to matter, at least. He was the only driver that did.
Well, at least in his case, he had slightly newer tires. He pit lap 47, but even that I don't like.
Yeah, I think, I mean, look, we're not going to, in theory, knock on wood, we're not going to get a bunch of yellows spaced out 10, 15 laps apart, so you should just take your tire allocation. I don't see there's, at races that are long enough and tracks that wear them out enough, yeah, it makes sense to be a little conservative with your tire choices, but this race had gone 55 laps without a yellow flag. I don't think there's any reason to save sets of rubber right now.
And I worry about the restart on two tires because even on the initial start, we didn't really note it, but there was a lot of wheel spin to the point where we saw 3 wide before we even got to turn 1 with Seth Knoll because the front runners were wheel spinning, the guys at the back were spinning the wheels. On two tires, it's going to be exceptionally worse, so that's what I'd be concerned about as well. This is probably the worst track to have wheel spin on a restart, and you're not going to be alone if you do it, and it could cause chaos.
So while we got a moment, we'll take this chance to thank our replay sponsor, Hendry County Motorsports Park. Racing is back at the Hendry County Motorsports Park. Join us this weekend to see Crusoe, actually it's December 6th, I believe, to see Crusoe late models, UMP open wheel modified, street stocks, and more. Tickets are $15 for adults with discounted prices for seniors, teens, and kids ages 5 and under are free. Come see racing at the southernmost dirt track in America, located in Clewiston, Florida, off US Highway 27. Visit HendryRacing.com for more information. And add some life to the party this summer with this winter, with Elite Entertainment. This one hasn't been updated in a while. Located in Boiling Springs, South Carolina, Elite Entertainment provides high-quality band production to entertain at any location, including karaoke, singo, and more. Visit Linktree/Elite Entertainment LLC for all contact information.
This fall, winter, summer, I mean, entertainment all seasons.
Entertainment all season.
Put that on the sign.
Should get the one to green this time. Weishart is your race leader, and he is going to choose the outside lane, it looks like. Yep. Interesting.
That is, well, he's got his friend. I don't know if they're teammates in this series, but I assume they are. He's got Slaughter in 4th, so it makes sense to give his teammate the jump. Definitely not what Seth Knoll or Matthew Bappy would want to see. It does bode well for Patrick Moose. He is not second in line on the top, but he is third in line, and he could get some track position here if he can just follow the 81 and 33. He's got Jake Nichols lined up behind him.
So after 58 laps, you've had one yellow flag. One driver is out of the race. That's Ryan Swan. He's 9 laps down. We didn't really see what happened to him, but it looked like, wasn't any damage, just parked it. 3 drivers 1 lap down, Tyler Hallman, Devin Johnson, who were the cause of the most recent yellow, and then Eric Wineland had some crash damage. He spent some time repairing. He is scored 26th. The other 23 trucks are all on the lead lap.
This is a big restart for Knoll on the bottom with teammates lined up on his outside. He just needs to time it as best he can to keep his advantage over Hall, Nichols, and Moose.
Here we go, lap 59 of 120. We're just shy of halfway in the Area Truck Series Season 6 finale. Green flag, we're back underway. Look at Bappy poking to the inside, 3 wide.
He is not wasting any time. Knoll's not in the spot he really wants to be in now in the middle line, and it's going to stay 3 wide for second because Slaughter's not having a good run through the middle of the corner. He is almost clear of Slaughter, but not quite. They're going to stay 3 wide. As Miller's going to get sideways, he drops out of line.
A little dicey midfield, but for second place, it is a hornet's nest. Seth Knoll trying to power ahead of Batby and Slaughter. Moose trying to split the difference as well.
Slaughter almost hit the wall. He got by Batby, which is important. He just needs to clear Slaughter. He should have the space to do it in one if he wants to be aggressive, and Slaughter's just going to kind of give it to him in the corner. Moose is going to paint the top side, try to get a big run to get around the 81, maybe get 3 wide off the corner. It's going to be tight, but Slaughter shut the door, and he's going to shove him down the backstretch. He almost put him in the wall. Jonathan Evans, big move. Danny Ware hit the wall in response to that, but really good restart for the 1.
Remember that 9's on 2 tires as well, so that truck might not be handling quite as well as some of the other trucks around it. John Hall's packed in behind Patrick Moose, and here comes Knoll for the lead.
Yeah, really important for him to get by everyone else but Weishart on that restart to maintain second. And we saw how important the clean air was for Batby. We'll see how important it can be on this run. He's going to take the lead. It didn't look like Weishart just gave it to him really slow in 1 and 2, maybe too slow because Batby's going to go right on by.
Oh, trouble.
Big push. Anna Sogak and Danny Ware hard into the inside wall, back up in front of the field, and the caution is out, and no one else will be collected somehow. Oh my!
Big hits for those trucks. Here's what happened. They just got together on the inside of Ricky Springer, and
man,
huge hits for those trucks. And you're right, somehow we avoided getting more trucks involved. That was very tight there at the end. Side and Biden, I believe.
3 wide off the corner. Springer, I was about to look at this. Springer puts the 3 wide, and not sure if Anna Sogak didn't know, but he kind of squeezed Danny Ware up into 51, and it was on from there. Those are huge hits to concrete barriers. And here comes Chris Seidenfaden. He had almost no room, but he made room.
Right here again. Boom. This is just the worst possible angle.
Worst feeling.
Oh, nothing you can do. Then back across the racetrack, and Ben Pierce just gets by.
Ooh. Here comes Chris Seidenfaden. Watch this.
Wow. And we have to ride on board with that 45, I think, to get his perspective of it.
Some pit stops there. Batby came in from 6th, interesting enough. We'll note that after this replay. Is that a room? Where's the gap? Wow.
That was tight. So a few takers to pit lane.
I am interested by Matthew Batby coming down. He got the 2nd, and he decided to come down.
I don't hate it because 7 laps on a pretty aggressive run is going to put a pretty major heat cycle on those tires. And again, I don't think we're going to see more of this necessarily. So you might as well try it.
Yeah, he did come down for tires. And the last driver to not come in on the lead lap, I think, was Gary Waterworth. So about the top 9 stay out. I'm not sure Licata's pit either. Jeremy Miller definitely came down. He actually took fuel only, the 30 did. That is one thing I was going to note. This does make it a little bit interesting on fuel if you came down to pit. You really could only make it maybe 53 laps on a tank. But, you know, if you wanted to make a one-stop work, you had to save 7 laps per run. And now it might be closer to 3 or 4 laps per run. So for Batby, no Championship 4 drivers tried it, so it doesn't really change how the championship battle is going to affect it. But if Matthew Batby wants to win this race, he might try to stretch this one out.
Interesting to note the 73 on the apron. Trying to go the shorter way around. I haven't really seen this strategy employed a lot, but it would work. I mean, less miles. Not by a ton, but by something.
And one's clutching as well, so they did not top off on fuel, but clearly they think that they might have to carry this tank to the end.
I do think, I mean, I don't think it's going to be a crash fest to the end from here. We just don't have enough trucks for it to get to that point. But I wouldn't be surprised to see another yellow in another 10, 15 laps. At that point, I absolutely would be hitting pit lane. So I don't know that I'd be committing yet to going to the end, but you have to leave yourself the option. And while we got a moment, make sure you check out the High Banks podcast. Just 2 blue-collar guys, Nick and Alex, talking about NASCAR and more. Listen to episodes 205 and 207 with Brad Slaughter and Jacob Bell. And it's available on Spotify, the High Banks podcast.
Look how many drivers are coming in to top off. Pretty much half the field.
Yeah, this strategy I would do. I mean, I think if I wasn't Championship 4 competitor, maybe double up for the restart. Seth Knoll goes to the inside lane, leaves Weishart on the outside ahead of Patrick Moose. Now, Moose has sort of lucked out with this situation. He's found himself right in the middle of the fray now. So remember that whole first run, the first 55 laps, he was looking like the odd man out in this Championship 4. Now he's squarely right back in the middle of this fight.
Yeah, another pretty important restart for him. You won't get the jump because the race leader Knoll's going to start on the bottom, but if he could just get in front of, if he could stay in front of John Hall and Jake Nichols, he's going to put himself in a pretty good spot for this final run of the race, whether we have to make another pit stop or not. Everyone else who's topped off is going to line up single file. That line's led by, looks like, Reese Schaefer. And then Bappy, who's been kind of a dominant truck, is a little further back than that.
Pace truck's going to pull off. Lap 66 of 120. Green flag back underway. Look at the 73 of Jake Nichols waiting for nobody to the outside.
And that might have been Miller. Nichols stays in line. 3 wide already. Well, that is Slaughter in the middle trying to get by Patrick Moose. Tight 3 wide. Moose not giving him any room, but 81's going to take it up anyways.
Out of turn 2, Moose on the outside, Hall on the inside. Jake Nichols watching from 6th place, trying to pick his way through this path. And still has the clutch pedal in turn 3, still thinking big picture now.
And if he can just clutch and coast and ride and keep this position or even gain positions, that would be pretty good for him. And I think that's what he's going to try to do as Moose clear for 3rd. He's going to look for 2nd on Weishart to be outside.
Oh, trouble, the 65 hard in the wall in turn 1.
Matthew Bappy involved.
I think it kind of started with the 89, actually. He was way up on the outside on the front straightaway, and I think sort of tipped this whole thing off. Let's go back and look at it again. Coming out of turn 4. Yeah, this is aggressive here.
Oh, yeah, that's aggressive. 3 wide, and there was no way Ben Pierce knew there were 3, and I think Devin Johnson comes down trying to give Bappy room.
Yeah. I mean, he knew that the 89 might be there, and so he left him. And you see the 60. Yeah, it's just. I don't. Obviously, he turns in a little early though, doesn't he?
Yeah, that's a tough situation. That changes the race for the win because Bappy's been so dominant, and he just gets taken out just like that. Also, I want to note on that, I think you remember when the 88 kind of drove through people because he lagged out. I think Vincent Cortez did that because he just drove straight through Travis Beckner. And that was even a part of the crash.
Yeah, I think when you're Matthew Bappy, you might be mad at the moment. You might go look back and realize, you know, if you can look at it objectively, say, hey, you know, I think I might have created that scenario for myself. You know, that. Just try to be predictable, and I think where he had his nose there, he wasn't overlapped or not overlapped. It was sort of in the middle, and it's a split decision.
Oh, man.
That was big news. Oh, boy. Okay, now we're committed to chaos.
Oh, yeah, and that is... I don't think that's what Seth Knoll or Patrick Moose really want to see. Because you can make it from here, no problem. I would think you see drivers put tires on. See, well, it looks like Nichols is gonna go fuel only. So Nichols, Miller, they won't put tires on. Looks like, I guess 609 drivers won't put tires on. Looks like everyone else did. Vincent Cortez did not. Travis Beckner did not. Slaughter, did he take tires? Yes, he did. So Slaughter's the first one out with tires. Everyone else in front of him came down for fuel only.
All right, well, I thought we were going to have a predictable race.
Anything but. That's just, I mean, it's unpredictable now. I thought I kind of had the 89 penciled in as the guy who was probably going to still win this race with how fast he was. Just like that, Seth Knoll. I mean, it's kind of anyone's race at this point. 73 and 1 have been fast. 0-3 can never count out John Hall, but David Weishart got track position there for a little bit. And then obviously you can't count out Patrick Moose ever. going to be a mixed up top 10 as well. You're going to have Senesac restarting third, Evans in fourth, Reese Schaefer's up to fifth, and then Strayer, Seidenfeld, and Balliet, and then Jake Nichols first one off the pit road without tires in ninth.
So there's your look at the laps in the stint that you've got for Knoll and Moose, 14. And Senesac, Evans, Schaefer, Strayer, Seidenfeld, and Balliet kind of previous trip down pit lane, and then Nichols on back just came in. I don't love where John Hall is, though. It's in the middle of it all.
Yeah, kind of at the back of it all. I think he took tires, and he's definitely going to have some ground to make up, but I think the tires are fresh enough to where he can probably still make it work knowing his speed. So I guess they're trying to sort out who's where. Everyone's kind of passing each other at this point.
Well, it's been spicy as of late, almost as spicy as Rick's Hot Sauce. Head on over to rickshotsauce.com for some of the best hot sauces made locally in South Florida. Try the Loxahatchee Classic, Golden Garlic, Palm Beach Pineapple, or South Beach Heat. Follow the Rick's Hot Sauce Rookie of the Year battle in the Area Cup Series and see which driver will take home the $100 prize as the highest finishing rookie in the point standings. 1 to green, and Seth Knoll will take the inside lane. Couple drivers topping off on fuel in the background.
Yeah, I don't think it's quite necessary now. I think at this point you don't need the top off to make it. I think if you pit under this yellow for fuel, you should be able to be good, but the question mark is with the top 8, I would say. That's why I really don't like where Seth Knoll and Patrick Moose are right now. If this goes green from here, I don't really like where they are. I like actually where the 03 is on tires.
Yeah, on tires, but I don't like where he is in the short term because we've had this quick rash of yellows. I don't really want to be in the middle of the next one. So I like the long run call, but you got to survive the short run. So I'd be pretty cautious the next few laps after this restart.
Would be interesting. I would not be surprised if you see Moose try to battle Knoll really hard to try to at least get track position over him before possibly Jake Nichols and John Hall get up there.
Well, 49 laps to go this time through. Pace Truck takes a very violent turn onto pit lane. And here we go, back underway, and the Jeremy Miller truck out and to the side. Everybody scatters.
He did not take tires, and he was not ready for the wheel spin that he got. He at least saved the truck and saved everyone else, but really jumbled the restart.
John Hall right in the middle of a 3-wide scenario out of turn 2, and big bobbles ahead. Everybody scatters on the backstretch.
Here's Lucas Strayer. They got sideways, 4 wide. John Hall not in a good position there. Beckner gave him the spot, was very generous with the 03 as he tries to fight up through the field. Got into the back of Gary Waterworth there a little bit.
This is why I don't like this position. Yeah, it's going to give you an advantage long run, but is it worth it to be in the center of the storm? He's not out of it by any stretch.
No, and he's not really making up ground as quickly as I thought he would. He had to get checked up again by Waterworth, who's really struggling in the middle of the racetrack. He's going to have to try to get to the outside, I would think, as he will try in 3 and 4, but not quite able to do so.
Now, Waterworth is just using every inch of the road ahead of John Hall. John crosses him over and will drive down the inside and will likely have a shot at taking his position away, but he's got to make ground on the bottom here. That's tough to do in 1 and 2.
And Waterworth's not giving him anything. He's going to drive him hard into turn number 1 and 2 as they're 3 wide ahead with another competitor, Jake Nichols, on the bottom, trying to get by Senesac and Lucas Strayer.
And there's Cortez with a big run in the 23. Not enough of a run to go to the inside, but he'll stay put for now in position number 9.
We won't battle for second. Moose is trying to keep it. Balliet and Schaefer, 2 Lucky Ducks teammates, are trying to fight to see who can maybe take it from the 38, but neither of them will quite yet, as both Hall and Nichols kind of trapped in this battle right now. John Hall still has not got by Gary Waterworth, but finally he gets to the outside.
The Wiggles on the backstretch. Various strategies at play right now. Jake Nichols, the highest running truck on slightly fresher tires. P8 at the moment and kind of tucked in a hole on the bottom, nowhere to go.
Just he's a little faster than Senesac, but can't clear up as John Hall's going to almost try that aggressive move to get 3 wide to the outside, but he is not quite there. See how aggressive Nichols wants to be in turn number 1 to try to clear Senesac. He drove it in hard. He will clear him, but look at the run the 03 has.
Oh, I don't like this out of turn 2. Every truck packed in tight like sardines in a can on the back straightaway. Look at the 30. He recovered after his slip up on the restart.
Trying to, at least. He hit the wall in 3 last time by. Now he's rolling the high side. Once again, a driver who did not take tires on the last restart, just like Jake Nichols didn't, as they banked doors. The 81 and 2 did. Nichols went through the grass a little bit there as John Hall trying to hold his right rear.
All the while, Seth Knoll leads this race, and the gap is growing slightly. Well, now it's shrinking. Valiette gained some ground that time, 3/10.
Valiette got the second past Patrick Moose. He has slightly fresher tires, I think, so we'll see how long it takes for him to get to the 1 truck, as right now the battle for 3rd in the championship. We anticipated it might be the battle for the win, but that has not been the case so far today, as they're both trying to fight to get by Jonathan Evans first. I think Hall's going to try to be aggressive 3 wide, but he's not quite there as Nichols has the overlap.
Remember that Seth Knoll has not yet won a race this season in the Truck Series. He got all the way to the Championship 4, hasn't yet claimed victory here. Had 6 on the Cup Series side and didn't go to victory lane there last night. None tonight, and is looking like the favorite at the moment.
He was able to win. It wouldn't be the first time someone waited until the final race to win and win the title. Remember season 3 Nashville, Slaughter Jr. did that. One of the few drivers in this series history, in the league's history, to just get their way to the Final 4 via consistency, and then actually won the darn thing.
Jake Nichols and John Hall fighting for 3rd place in the Championship 4. Coming up on 40 laps to go, not this time, but next. And we're starting to wind the laps down. Nobody should have to pit from here on out. Again, Seth Knoll has slightly older tires than Valiette, but the longer he runs up here, the more these tires are going to equalize out, the less of an advantage those behind him will have.
I'm sure that's what he's hoping for. I'm sure he's hoping the track position prevails and his tires are better because of that. Right now it looks good. He's got a decent gap over Moose, Schaefer, and all those others. Really, the only one keeping up with him is Joshua Valiette. He's 10ths faster than everyone else, 3rd on back. Now
Moose is going to likely lose a spot here to Schaefer. Knoll doesn't, I mean, I'm sure he cares, but it's not relevant to lose spots to anybody without the blue number on the ticker. So he doesn't mind having Valiette pass him or Schaefer go by him or Lucas Strayer go by him. Those are all effectively not going to matter as far as the championship is concerned. You still want to win the race, but it's not necessary.
I think Fuel's more of a question mark for him. He is, big sideways there, one of the Hendry County trucks. And I think, I was going to say, Moose still has a question mark on Fuel. He's still clutching. He clutched last time into 1 and turn number 3, so he's saving right now. I don't hear any of that from the 1 truck right now.
Big wad of trucks into turn 1. Gary Waterworth has just been in the center of everything. Miller's got to run, but nowhere to go with it.
Now Weissart struggling to get back through the field, kind of stuck on the cusp of a top 10 as Waterworth chopped the nose aggressively there in the 3, but he's going to wash up the track and probably end 3 wide off the corner with Miller on the top side.
Yeah, the 33 got his left sides onto the apron.
Oh man.
I don't know what Waterworth is doing. Like, he's not doing anything wrong, but he has just been persistently in the way for the last 15 laps. He's doing nothing wrong, but it's just like...
Oh, Miller, Cortez got together. Cortez in the 1 and he saved it. I think Cortez got into the 30 and kind of caused that.
But like, do you see what I mean?
Really
like Gary's doing nothing wrong, but he's just driving in the middle of the road, making everybody else have to go around him. Really, really defensive, and he's going to cause a crash now. Yeah,
there it is.
Yeah,
End of a wall. Vector's going to save it. That might not be a caution.
Yeah, we stayed green. Got lucky with that one. But I mean, I get it, but man, making me mad secondhand.
Definitely got aggressive there. There was no room for 3 wide that time. Through turns number 3 and 4. They ran out of room. Rest of the field gets away, and now we're kind of single filed out with Knoll and Valiette gone pretty much. Reese Schaefer settled into 3rd, but here comes John Hall.
That truck is broken. See the right front on the 2. Here's that 03 that you pointed out. 9 lap fresher tires. He's on equal footing. John is actually make that 13 lap fresher tires. He's got the best tires of anybody, back to Brad Slaughter Jr. in 6th. So if anyone's got the pace to go run down that 1, it's going to be the 0-3 on this strategy, and he's good on fuel.
And even in traffic last time by, he ran a 8:32.87. Last time by, Seth Knoll ran a 33.03, so that's a 1/10 and a half there. So we'll see. Now he's clear to 3rd, has at least a little bit of clean air to work with. We'll see if he can chase down those top 2. He's 1.3 seconds back.
There's the gap. Get to this point in the season and it's winner take all. Whichever one of those blue number drivers is the highest on the ticker is your champion. We mentioned Seth Knoll had yet to win a race. That doesn't mean the season hasn't been very good for him. 7 top 5s, 10 top 10s. It is only the 3rd best of the championship 4. The only one that has slightly worse stats than that is Patrick Moose, who only has 4 top 5s and 7 top 10s in 15 starts.
Does have those 2 wins, which got him here, and I don't really remember. I think the 1 and 38 are on the same strategy, and they're just taking this run completely different. Patrick Moose has dropped back to 9th. He is clutching, coasting into every corner for about a second, then getting back off of the clutch and getting back on the gas. None of that from the 1. He's not saving fuel. And it's kind of interesting that he and Moose would have different fuel numbers at this point, but 2 different strategies right now.
Things are starting to even out here a little bit as we approach 30 laps to go, the final quarter of this race. Before things start to pop off, I'll remind you that you can visit shop.areairacing.com for high-quality merchandise at low prices. Shop from over 100 selections of t-shirts, hats, champion brand clothing, and more area accessories. Easy to shop, quicker to ship, better to wear. Shop.areairacing.com.
But how spread out the back of the field kind of got there with the 28 and 2's incident. That we could see a pretty decent run here at this point. Maybe not to the end, but we might see a decent amount of green flag laps at this point. And that's probably what the one of Knoll wants, as Slaughter and Hall almost made contact at the start-finish line, racing for 3rd. That might be what the 1 wants, though.
What if you're Jake Nichols?
Even the tires.
Came in as probably one of the favorites, and things are not going badly, but they're not going great, and you're sort of running out of laps to figure out what to do here.
Slaughter got 3rd from Hall, but yeah, I don't really like where the 7 is right now. He could be hard saving, sure, and he's definitely got the fuel to make it, but he's 1.6 seconds back while John Hall's chased down the top 2. So he needs to, I think, try to get by Lucas Strayer. It's a good run for Strayer right now, but he's got to get aggressive at some point. He's got to get this track position. Still 30 to go, but you run out of time pretty quickly logging laps like this.
3 wide, Moose on the bottom. He's feeling a little desperate.
Valiette hit the wall out of 2, so Slaughter's going to go to 2nd.
Brad Slaughter had that left front tire painting the white line. Remind me a lot of what we've seen Kevin Harvick do here. Ooh, big wiggle for the 7 on the front stretch. And here comes Hall.
He hit the wall again, but he's wore his stuff out for sure, so Hall's going to get back to 3rd. He's going to try to take 2nd away from Slaughter at some point, but for right now, the 81's in the middle of the championship fight, trying to get his 2nd victory at this version of Atlanta. And he looks pretty fast right now on the short run, as Schaefer's back to 5th. About for 6th is still pretty chaotic, and Jake Nichols is not winning it.
No, not really getting anywhere either. And actually running slower laps because he's following all this chaos. Running out of opportunities as we approach 25 laps to go. This is when you start to get desperate as a driver. What have I done? How have I gotten myself in this position?
I'm sure Jake Nichols is thinking that, but I'm sure the answer I would think is obvious, as Slaughter might go for the race lead here in the turn number 3. I think the answer is not taking tires on the last yellow. I was kind of surprised by that. Obviously all the 609 trucks did that. You know, you want to save maybe a set with how important tires are just in case, but at that point I was definitely surprised to see some drivers not take at least that 3rd set of the day. as Noel's going to try to battle hard for the track position, and John Hall is going to try to find his way through this battle, whoever's faster.
Yeah, Seth Noel really does not like seeing the 0-3 in the mirrors now. Only 0.2 quicker. It's not a significant chunk. And if Seth can hold off the 0-3 for a few laps, those tires might start to equalize a little more, but who knows what the fuel scenario is in the one. So things are starting to swing not in his favor as we get down to these last 25 laps.
Nichols just slid up in front of Strayer for 7th, but I think at this point, regardless of what the fuel looks like for the one, where are you going to save your fuel? You're in a battle for the lead, in a battle for the championship. You don't have time to save fuel. You cannot give up any time on track saving fuel because John Hall's just going to pass you, and that's the title. So it's definitely a tough situation considering how much Patrick Moose has seemingly been trying to save. I don't think he's trying to save any more, but actually, no, yeah, the 38 is still saving fuel, and they're on the same strategy. So that really worries me with how the one's going to get to the end here.
Was he just hoping for a yellow and just is going to run it out, knowing that he wasn't going to save fuel in the lead and keep it?
Well, Adam Cabot did that last night, and you know, if you're not in a title fight and just trying to go get a win any way possible, then whatever. But you're in a championship fight. I don't like relying on a yellow. I rely on my own ability at that point. So I would hope that's not what he's doing, but we'll just see how this plays out. He's got to make it another 24 laps on this set, and he's somehow got to keep the 0-3 in behind him.
It's going to get trickier and trickier now. Here comes John Hall trying to poke the overlap. Here it comes to the inside. John Hall, Championship 4 competitor. Could we see a lead change here? And he slips.
Washed up. That's what Seth Noel's been doing. He did that to Slaughter, and Slaughter lost second, and he's going to do that to John Hall. I think if John Hall gets a run at the right time, he slides up in front of the one and just chases to the outside wall. But Seth Noel, he's going to pinch him so hard on the bottom of the corner that either that slide job is not going to happen or they're going to wreck. That's the risk John Hall's going to have to face here if he gets forced low every time like the one is.
Said the 73 was one of the favorites. The 0-3 mathematically probably was the favorite, with 3 wins most of anybody that was in contention. And he's been able to turn it on at the right time as well.
Caution.
And that changes everything. Bryce Senesac in the wall.
That is maybe a break for the 1 and 38. It's definitely a break for the 73 and 38, I would think, as this is a battle for like 14th with Beckner, Senesac, Miller, and contact there.
Wow.
And turned him, and Senesac almost won the fence.
Yeah, 2-truck tangle, and everybody will hit pit lane.
Some people, like John Hall, will be taking their final set of tires here, which is a little interesting with 20 to go. And with how hard fall-off is for Noel and Moose, and Noel, really, everyone but John Hall has an extra set left. So we got a yellow with about 10 to go. You might consider taking that last set. It just depends on where they are on track, because they'll all get a set here.
But 21 laps to go. Again, this is one of those things where I'll slap you if you take 2 tires. I see absolutely no point in that. Just generating cautions. We'll see how things pan out.
Pretty important race off pit road here, too. Oh, John Hall missed his stall a little bit. He had to back up a little. That could cost him a little time. Who gets out of pit lane first? Everyone's taking tires. Noel's out first. Balliette's going to get out second. And Weishart is going to get a position from John Hall, as Balliette did take 4 there.
This is what Noel wanted to see. Keeps the track position, gets back on the right strategy, and he's got some trucks between himself and the rest of the field now as far as the playoffs are concerned. So that worked out very well for Seth.
That's worked out really well. Now the fuel is out the window. He has the gap over John Hall, but he's also got it's not even like he's in a 1v3. It's almost like a 1v1, at least at this point, before the restart shakes out. He's got John Hall in row 2, but then it's Nichols and Moose 8th and 9th with a lot of work to do.
We'll get 2 to green this time. We'll have about 10 minutes of racing remaining when we go back green. That's assuming that we stay green to the end. Though I would likely think that probably have another calamity here or there with the intensity of a late race restart at Atlanta.
With a championship and a race win on the line. So yeah, this is definitely not, I expected a few yellows. I didn't expect to go green again tonight like we did last night, but I didn't expect to have a lot of this action that we've had, and a lot of them have kind of been, I mean, we've had some racing accidents and some others have been a little interesting at times, some of the cautions, some of the crashes that we've had at this point, but it's definitely shaken things up and it's thrown strategy all sorts of different ways for all sorts of different drivers.
Well, we're going to have 18 laps to go at the restart. Seth Knoll elects for the inside lane. Balliet goes up to the high side. Once again, everybody took 4. So no strategy, no funny business, no fuel saving. This is going to be a straight up brawl to the end.
This is a pretty important restart for Knoll to get clean air on the nose again. Now we got Ryan Swan, Danny Ware, Justin Asilgak, Matthew Batby. Looks like Gary Waterworth and Vincent Cortez out of the race. Everyone else still lead lap besides those 6.
Well, 16 races and it all comes down to 18 laps here at Atlanta Motor Speedway. We're running the old Atlanta. Bumps, slick surface, abrasive in places, and the temperature may have gone down about 12 degrees since the start of the race, but it feels like the intensity has ratcheted up. 18 to go in the Area Truck Series Season 6 finale. And here we go.
And Balliet did not go. That really hurt John Hall.
He doesn't have time to sit back here either. He's got to go. David Weishart drifts
Schaefer
up. That was tight out of turn 2.
Schaefer, oh, big contact there between Slaughter and Hall. Hall's trying to go. He's got nowhere to go. Wonder if there's left side damage on the 0-3. He's going to split the middle, but Slaughter closed the door. Hall's trying to find a door and just slam it open. He can't.
Nowhere to go. 17 laps to go. And it's slipping away from the other 3. Seth Knoll's got clear racetrack ahead. Everyone else fighting for positions. It's like playing the Super Bowl against every team in the NFL.
Look at Patrick Moose. He's trying to get second in the title. He's going to pass John Hall. He even has a little bit of, almost looked like he had a right rear damage, but he's using the inside to his advantage because there's nowhere to go on the top. Here goes John Hall even higher.
He's going to try to rip this outside lane. He's going to have a whole boatload of momentum. Where do you go with it? Throttle down.
Not enough.
Nowhere to go. Still trapped.
Oh, he hit Balliet there.
Yeah, he's getting impatient now. And he moved Balliet and got to his outside. And now he's through. Balliet spins.
Turned. The caution's out. Now I don't think Balliet's going to like that.
And this is just a driver that just feels cornered.
Yeah, I mean, he just hit him into a corner, then they made more contact there. I think Hall's going to get away with no damage, but when you get sideways like that entering the corner, you're just trying to chase it the entire time, and Jonathan Evans couldn't check up in time, and Jake Nichols almost got destroyed in that. So the drivers who have an extra set which one of them's leading the race.
I don't know that I would bother pitting now. I mean, I think...
I think Jake Nichols might.
Yeah.
I don't think he can win this from... I think Patrick Moose might. I think you need to do whatever Seth Knoll doesn't do here. With those two specifically, because they have the set of tires.
I think you have to hope that everyone else comes down too, though, because we saw what happened to the 0-3, just get packed in. I mean, the tires are great, but if you can't go anywhere with them, what's the point, right? And neither of them will come to pit lane.
Nope. I think if you don't use them here, you're not going to use them, I don't think. But I think that would have been the gamble with the one staying out there. I think I would have tried something different in pit, but they're going to try to hope they can get up to him. That was a great restart for Patrick Moose, and probably worst case scenario for John Hall.
Well, while we got a minute, we'll remind you that this is the last Area Truck Series race here on SimTV, the last 14 laps of action. We're heading away for a break for some time. Not sure when we'll be back to oval racing action here on iRacing. It won't be in the short term, probably at least a year or two or more. As Finney and I step away to kind of pursue some other things. We'll be around in road racing a little bit here and there. And we've got an IndyCar series that does a little bit of both, but it's not going to be a lot of SimTV action. So at this point, you should make sure you head on over to twitch.tv/area iRacing and follow them so you can continue to watch the action with their next broadcast vendor. And in the short term, you can find me on Grid Life's broadcasts on the Fanatec GT World Challenge America broadcasts, at least, well, trackside on the PA, or the Toyota GR Cup North America Series for 2025. And there are some other announcements coming your way on things I'll be involved with in 2025. And hoping also the Pikes Peak International Hill Climb once again, at least for at least one more year, I'm hoping. And lots of exciting things going on, but less and less on the SimTV side here as of late. But we get the 1 to green, and next time, no, that's 2 to green. So we're going to have 11 laps to go at the restart.
Every restart, especially those 3 drivers, really for everyone, but especially the 3 championship drivers behind Seth Knoll, every restart gets more and more intense and more important because you run out of opportunities to get track position. Every time we get a restart, more laps wind down, and I don't even know who's in the best spot because you got Patrick Moose 5th, but I don't really like being stuck on the bottom for late race restarts. But it was the top side that wasn't going, which forced John Hall to be now 4th in the title fight because Jake Nichols gets the 6th. I think I like where Nichols is right now, but if the guy in 2nd doesn't go again, last time it was Balliet, but if Weishart doesn't go, then it would cause even more trouble.
I think we're not done yet with this. I think Seth Knoll, well, the reason why I like where he is because this late in this race, everyone's driving desperate. Everyone, I mean, his championship competitors are deeper in the field. They're going to be making big moves. Everyone here is trying to get one last good result. It's a short run to the end. If you get more yellows, it's just going to burn up more laps, and that's going to only help Seth. So as long as he gets a solid restart, Seth Knoll is looking like the favorite to come home and clinch this title with no wins on the season except for potentially one he might wrap up today.
Would be pretty impressive, but I mean, I definitely agree that obviously he's in the best spot, but I think it's more of an advantage than what it is on the timing and scoring sheet. Just being able to dictate the pace on the restart and everything like that, and just able to maintain the pace. And once you get out in clean air, especially on the short run, you can drive as hard as you want and kind of pull away. Weishart has not challenged him. The 7 couldn't. The 81 didn't seem like he could. So he's in a very empowering spot right now. It's going to be tough to get him, regardless of what happens here.
Double up for the restart. 11 laps is the distance. "21 of our 27 trucks running on the racetrack. The 6 that are out are not on course, so everybody is on the lead lap at this point. Travis Beckner had a tough day. He runs in 10th. Championship 4 are scored 1st, 5th, 6th, and 8th. The highest finisher of them is your champion. Seth Knoll sits in that position right now. And in maybe 6 minutes, we'll know if he goes on to be an Area Truck Series champion. Green flag, we're back underway in Atlanta.
It seemed like everyone else pretty much went. Knoll just got that good of a jump. And Nichols gets in front of the other 2.
4 wide for a moment back there, but Get it sorted for a brief moment.
Reshaper just pulls out of the way.
Look at Patrick Moose.
The inside.
Patrick Moose to the inside, trying to make up ground here.
Oh, but Jake Nichols chopped his nose, put dirty air on the nose, and he shot up the racetrack into Jonathan Evans. Brad Slaughter just got put in the wall by his teammate Weishart, as Weishart's going hard for the lead. Noel not able to get away. Look at Nichols, all that clean air on the bottom of the racetrack.
Yeah, Nichols is making a lunge for this here. He was down and out for a long time here late in this race. He has got a championship just 3 positions ahead, but he needs to get past the 33 and 81, and both of them are fighting hard for a late season victory.
Jonathan Evans is not going to be an easy pass. If he doesn't have the space to clear up, he is not going to be able to go anywhere. Watch John Hall. He's going to go for that three-ride move. Evans put the block on him. He's going to try to go middle. He had to lift out of it.
Yeah, these guys are just packed in behind non-playoff competitors. Like I said, it's like playing in the NFL Super Bowl when you've got every other team there and not all of them are eligible. It's tight out of 2.
That's the move he needed to make. Slaughter and Moose get together a little bit again, but that was the move of the race for Jake Nichols to this point to get clear of all this mess. Patrick Moose is the next one he has to try to, but if there's a yellow, which, look at this, how can there not be? Nichols is in a great spot now.
He's got to run, though. He's run out of laps. 8 to go here at Atlanta.
And he's got to get by Weishart. Weishart staying with Seth Knoll, not letting him go. John Hall went to the bottom, changed things up, but Patrick Moose put the block on him. He's trying to clear 2 trucks at once. Look at this move. That's not going to work. Can he save it? Yes, he did, but he's in the wall. And here comes John Hall. They're going to crash. Hall and Moose. Moose is up and over into turn number 3. It's the big one at Atlanta, and 2 title competitors might just be out of it.
I would say they are out of it. The 38 is torn up, upside down. A blowover on the back straightaway, and it just went up in flames.
Wow. I don't know how 03's got pretty good right front damage and right rear. Moose goes for it. He knows this is his chance at a title to clear these 2. That's not going to work. He did a good job keeping it straight there. Slaughter tries to go to the middle, didn't work, and then there's your blowover physics. Tumbles once and on his wheels again. And that took out maybe half the field we had left.
Yeah, he just goes to block the 81 at that point, and he just kind of crashed himself here. Then right off the nose of the 03, up and over. The 81.
Slaughter, Springer, Miller, Seidenfaden, Beckner, Wineland, Strayer. That's at least 8 or 9 trucks in that crash.
Brad Slaughter has all this out the windshield.
He did a good job saving it. Slaughter goes for this. Yeah, Moose tried to block it, and that probably wasn't the right move at that point. Gosh, I can't imagine Slaughter was expecting to see him tumbling, though. By the way, that wreck's happened. Jake Nichols pit from 3rd for his final set of tires. Wow, look at that thing tumble.
Yeah. I don't know about that. How do you feel about that?
Oh, how many trucks just got taken out? I don't know how far he's going to be back. He's going to come out of pit lane first.
13th?
I mean, it's a big advantage it's a decent advantage on tires at this point. I think he figured he wasn't going to beat his teammate straight up and be able to pass him in time. So that's definitely his play, just trying to get the fresher tires at this point. And I think the fact that that was such a big crash definitely played into his decision there. And notably, John Hall, he didn't have the set of tires anyways, but he did stay out. So clearly, I guess this truck doesn't look horrible, but definitely going to be a little hurt. It's the most aggressive I've ever seen John Hall drive, by the way.
Gotta be. Came in with the most wins of anybody. Be a real shame to walk it. You're right, that truck doesn't look all that bad, does it? The steering straight? Yeah.
Sure looks like it. Right, the front end, I can see the splitter, the right side of the splitter is a little pushed up, so that'll hurt his downforce. And also the right rear quarter panel is a little dinged, but I think he definitely got away with that because it probably should have been much worse. But he's at least second in the title for the time being. Patrick Moose's bid for an upset title is done after going tumbling. But now it's going to be interesting. We'll restart 3 to go. And Jake Nichols is going to restart 13th, trying to make ground up. As this was desperation. That's a definition of desperation, trying to make that move work. And he almost did make it work. Really need to know why we have blowover physics. Where are the roof flaps on these trucks now?
Pretty wild, I'll say.
Just takes one truck to push him over, and there it goes.
One of the wilder wrecks we've seen here in the Area Truck Series as of late. Seth Knoll is going to be 3 laps away from winning a title and from winning his first race of the season.
Would be the second driver to do it after Slaughter in season 3. So I guess the math would be every 3 seasons someone wins no races, makes the championship 4, and wins the final race of the season. So we'll see who does it in season 9 if Knoll can hold on. But I really do want to see what the tires do for the 73. I don't know how big the advantage is going to be in 1 and 2 for Nichols, but 3 and 4 we will see a difference. He needs this. He either needs 2 things. He either needs 3 laps green to try to chase down the 1, or a white flag or a yellow flag as late as possible at on the 2 to go lap, and then have those green-white checkered attempts. I think if we get into green-white checker territory, it might arguably be worse for Knoll.
Yeah,
because you run the risk of having multiple.
Yeah, you just want to run this out with one go. And I think we stand a pretty good chance of doing that, but we will see. It took it a couple laps to spice up last time.
All Knoll can focus on is just getting a good restart, getting ahead of Weishart, because Weishart's hungry for a victory. Was really close to getting to the bumper of the 1 of Knoll that time by. And obviously, who knows what John Hall is going to do here if he gets a run. He's not out of it.
Time to go racing, maybe for the last time this season. Pace trucks off. Seth Knoll in command, trying to lock down a championship in season 6. Green flag, 3 laps to go at Atlanta.
Weishart did not get a good restart. Weiland's trying to go 3 wide for a second at the same time.
Knoll arcs it in. Left the bottom lane open on the entry to the corner, then ran down the hill, used the gravity to speed the truck up.
Schaefer's going to try, but I don't think he has anything really for the 1 of Knoll. They're all going to go to the high side. Weiland's going to try the bottom side, while Jake Nichols is not really making up that much time on fresh tires.
No, and he's got a lap to make up some ground and hope for a yellow. But he would need a yellow, I think, at this stage.
Schaefer's still close to Knoll, but no one's really even testing the bottom at this point besides Eric Wineland. Everyone planted to the high side.
Oh boy, that's tight out of turn 2. Half a lap to safety for Seth Knoll.
That's all he wants. He wants that white flag. He does not want to see that yellow flag come out, because then the 73's in the game. But I think we're going to get there.
White flag waves. Seth Knoll is a lap away from winning a championship, a lap away from winning his first race of the season, and I don't think anyone has a shot to get there that can take it away from him.
John Hall is the closest one, and he's running the bottom, trying anything he can, but he just does not have the speed anymore as Schaefer washed up the racetrack, gives Knoll even more space into 3 and 4.
He will have led half the race this season, an average finish of 12th, 7 top 5s, 10 top 10s. He'd only led 98 laps all season long, but it is enough. His first win of the season wins him a championship. Season 6 of the Area Truck Series is Seth Knowles. And just like season 3, champion only won the final race.
What a way to do it.
Don Hall, Jake Nichols, and Patrick Moose, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th.
I really thought those fresher tires would do a little better than that, but it really just did not look like they mattered much. Maybe too cool of a track for him to matter as much. Maybe if it was hot like earlier, maybe, but that was his gamble. He tried to do something different. It just didn't pan out. But how clutch. We always talk about you don't top 5, top 10 your way to titles. And he did win tonight, but at least to get here, it's exactly what he did. He clutched up when it mattered most, just like Moose had done the 2 previous elimination races. And he's the last one standing today.
His finishes in the playoffs, save for the 23rd at Bristol, 3rd, 2nd, 2nd, 1st. That's a heck of a postseason.
That's Tony Stewart-esque. That consistent. He was running top 5 at Bristol as well. But what a finish. Seth Knoll, the champion. Schaefer gets a really good run to end the season. That's his first top 5 of the season, by the way, Reese Schaefer. Wow. So he will take that 100%. Weishart almost got it. John Hall, I think, is going to be very disappointed with how that played out. There are a lot of good runs for a lot of drivers tonight. Lucas Strayer, a top 5. That might be his first of the season as well. Wineland, Lakatos started from the pits. He gets 7th. Grant, Jonathan Evans 10th. And Jake Nichols tried something different. Fresher tires, just did not work.
John Hall 4th. Jake Nichols down in 9th place. And then we saw the big crash that involved the 38, turned him up and over. 21st place for Patrick Moose. Gave it everything, and it just didn't quite pan out. Let's talk to David Weishart. Finished 3rd in the race. Not in the championship 4, not contending for the title, but a P3 in your last race of the season. David, nice work.
Yeah, thanks, guys. It was fun at times. It wasn't fun at times. The truck was really hard to handle. On the long runs, it got really loose on exit, so you had to really save the right rear. And saving tires really isn't my specialty here, and we just ran green for the longest time. And some pit strategy kind of got me up there. Got a lucky yellow. I short pitted and got the lead, and as Seth was passing me, the caution came out there. So that's what got me on my track position really, and just tried to hold on to it the rest of the race, and had a blast running with them guys. I was running around some championship contenders, and I was trying to race my own race and give them as much respect as I can, while also trying to go for a win. You know, this is the last race for Swan Motorsports. It's probably my last race in the truck series for a good long while, until they can get some things fixed in this thing, because these aren't that fun to drive. So glad to end Swan Motorsports with a podium. Glad to end my truck series tenure with the podium, and had a lot of fun tonight, and congrats to Seth.
Congratulations, David. P3 in your last race of the season.
All right, thanks. And in case I don't get an interview on Thursday, thank you guys for broadcasting and everything you all have done. You all have grown the league like crazy with us. It's been a blast having y'all do all of our races and going back and watching them every week. So thank you all for that.
Appreciate it, David. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Reese Schaefer comes home in 2nd, and I think I heard Connor tell me this is your first top 5 of the season. Started 25th and ran as high as 2nd, where you finished. Pretty chaotic tail end of the race there. A couple late race yellows. Take us through your drive up to the front there for P2.
Yeah, it was definitely a little bit of strategy early in the race, and then definitely a little bit chaos near the end. Early in the race, started in the back and was kind of just doing our thing, and then it was definitely a little tight with about 60 to go on fuel, and so me and Balliet decided to come in, and then what ended up happening is another car came out and everybody came in, so we ended up getting up to P5, P6, and then it was a little bit chaotic, and it actually kind of worked out in my favor. Before the last caution, I stepped out of the way. I don't know if you guys saw me down to the bottom, let Moose and Nichols battle it out. I didn't want to get in the way of their championship, and they ended up all wrecking, and I was the only one to make it through. So, and then for that good last restart, I was really thankful that Noel got in front of me on the last restart, because I knew I could tie him up good and stay with him, and sure enough I did, and got in front of Weishart, and then just sat in the high lane with me, Noel, and Weishart, and finished P2. It was awesome.
Well, great run there, Reese. Congratulations, P2 in the last race of the season. A great way to send it off.
Hell yeah, thanks guys, appreciate it.
Thank you. Seth Knoll wins 1 race this season, and it was the last one, the one that he needed to win. Seth, you are the Area Truck Series Season 6 champion. Led 60 laps en route to it, and it wasn't easy, but you had the track position at the end, and the yellow might have saved you there, and you were able to hang on. Take us through your night and capping off a successful season.
Well, tonight we were as fast as Xfinity Internet, and yeah, I honestly, coming into the season, didn't expect to win a race unless it was Bristol, and I'm a little bit shocked. I thought last night was much better suited for how I drive, but the race just kind of worked out the way I needed it to. We were in a good spot, like the first run, I had good long run pace, and it's going to be interesting to see how the short pit versus overcut worked with me, John, Jake, and Pat. But then we had that yellow, and then I committed to just holding control of the race, didn't want to lose the lead, and I know that had been my Achilles heel at Iowa and Kansas, where I had lost the lead and couldn't really control the last little bit, and didn't want to give that up. Thought I was screwed when John was working me over, barely held on, and got the yellow he needed to make it on fuel and just held on from there.
Well, it was a job well done, Seth, all season long, fighting tooth and nail. Came in perhaps as the least likely seed. Maybe Patrick Moose could have argued that, though he had 2 wins, but it takes a lot of effort to win one of these races, and you did it when you needed to the most. So congratulations on that. Enjoy your championship. It's only the second time it's happened in Area Truck Series season history.
All right, I appreciate you, boys. Got a shout out. Appreciate y'all. Y'all have been here since I've been here, so I appreciate y'all broadcasting the last, I don't know how long y'all were there before me, but at least the 4 years that I've been here. So I appreciate y'all broadcasting the last couple years. Connor, appreciate you bringing me on this season. We've had some fun. There's been some frustrating moments. There's no denying that. But the highs were high and the lows were low.
Well, the highs are high tonight. Seth Knoll wins the Season 6 Area Truck Series Championship. Seth, congratulations.
I appreciate you, boys.
All right, Connor, final thoughts on the Area Truck Series. Ups and downs this season for sure, but we end on a high note. Pretty exciting race. A little bit of drama here and there. Trucks flipped over and in championship contention, but this was a good one and maybe a surprise victory in some ways by a driver that hadn't won anything yet this season.
He had been consistent all season, so I don't know how surprising it really is to me personally, but he sounded very surprised and very shocked that he was able to pull that off. So Seth is a very deserving champion regardless, but it was definitely a chaotic race. That's not what I expected. I expected at least 1 or 2 yellows, but mainly green flag running. We got the first run of the race, and really that was it. Jake Nichols was in a good spot before green flag pit stops, and it looked like Seth Knoll and John Hall were kind of the lead dogs of that strategy. Then all the yellows flew, and then all the strategy kind of came coming with it. And for a while there, Seth Knoll was just able to keep the lead. For a while, John Hall was trying everything he could to try to get to the front. It just wasn't meant to be, and Patrick Moose had one last Hail Mary to try to end things differently. It just didn't happen for him, and he was the one who ended up on his lid, but still a great season overall for this truck series. A very deserving champion for sure, and it got this wild tonight. How wild can it get on Thursday? We'll just have to find out.
It'll be the last area broadcast on SimTV, at least for the short or medium term. But this has been a fun one. The Area Truck Series Season 6 is complete. We'll see you on Thursday for the last broadcast of the fall and winter. Thanks so much, everybody. Kyle Heyer and Connor Horn. We'll see you alongside Hunter Sleppy on Thursday night.